Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today because of course today we saw a big pump to the upside after that macro bullish news coming out. However, do not get fooled because right now Bitcoin is still trading below this ascending triangle pattern that we can see on the 4-hour as well as the daily time frame. And in fact, if we zoom in here a little bit, we can actually see that on the lower time frames here, we are currently seeing a perfect rejection from this trend line, flipping it into a level of resistance for now, because remember, we are talking about the short term here. And so long as we do not see Bitcoin trading back inside this range again, then I continue to be short term bearish, exactly like I was when we were breaking down right here. Although, of course, keep in mind that just zooming out here, long term, I am obviously still bullish because in my opinion, we are still in a bull run. So I do expect the Bitcoin price to continue to trade up at some point. So it's important to understand the difference between the different time frames. For example, so long as we are trading below this triangle here, I am short term a little bit more bearish. However, long term, even if we do not trade back inside this triangle at some point, I will still remain bullish until I get some clear confirmation that the bull run is actually over. But for now, it does not look like that is the case. So short term, potentially bearish, long term, obviously still bullish. And actually another reason why I am not flipping super bullish here, even though yes, we have seen this bump to the upside. And yes, of course, I also longed this move to the upside, leading to this nice 61.69% profit on that trade. So I continue to just take long and short positions on the lower time frames here. And what you can see actually right here is on this massive descending channel for Bitcoin that Bitcoin has been consolidating in for weeks, we are now seeing another potential rejection. And just like that triangle pattern that I was showing earlier, so long as we do not break out to the upside from this, for example, clearing above these highs, or even clearing above the previous all-time high at about 73.8K. So long as that does not happen, I continue to be a little bit cautious in this market here because it is still completely possible that we just go back to the bottom of this range again, which right now is sitting at about 57,000 US dollars. So that is something to keep in mind. I am still just waiting for that confirmation. And actually one last thing with regards to the bearish scenarios here is actually this descending trend line on the RSI momentum indicator, which has been acting as a level of resistance ever since March 12th. And again, so long as we do not break out of this, technically we are still just in a downtrend for the RSI momentum indicator. And we are currently nowhere close to being in oversold territory, which is whenever the RSI reaches below 30, because right now it's at 50, meaning that there is still a lot of potential room to the downside here. And therefore I am not too bullish on this market right now over the next couple of days to potentially week or two, until we actually see a confirmation that we're breaking out of this downtrend on the RSI momentum indicator. So now taking a look at the short-term support and resistance levels for Bitcoin, you can see that Bitcoin is right now trading in this big level of resistance from 68.5K all the way up to 70,000 US dollars. And again, on this lower time frame here, it looks like we're getting a little bit of a rejection from this previous high. Although if we do just continue to trade to the upside from here, we will run into some short-term resistance right here at about 70.5K. There is also a Fibonacci level right here, but I will get to that in a second. So if you do see the price trade above that 70.5K level, then the next big level of resistance is going to be from 71 all the way up to 73K for the Bitcoin price. And just to briefly mention it here, we have the 0.786 Fibonacci level sitting at 70.2K, roughly speaking. And yes, here we actually got a rejection from that 0.786 Fibonacci level recently, just a couple of days ago. So since we are currently getting a short-term move to the downside, personally, I am looking at this 0.618 Fibonacci level at 67.2K as a potential level if we do go that low, where we could see a bounce from there, or at the very least hold it as a level of support on the daily time frame. Because for example, exactly like I talked about in yesterday's video, when we were trading far below this 0.618 Fibonacci level, I did say that if we get a daily candle close above that Fibonacci level, potentially we could be seeing a bounce from there. And so far, that is exactly what we have seen. So now taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat maps, first of all, on the 24-hour time frame, where we got a big move to the upside, obviously, taking out all of this liquidity right here, then dipping into this little bit of liquidity right here as well after getting a quick move to the downside, sweeping this massive level of liquidity at about 68.7K. So what is the current situation? Well, we have a little bit of liquidity to the upside between 70.1K and 70.7K. However, there's also some downside liquidity at around 66.8K. So that is important to note because typically the Bitcoin price gets attracted to where there is the most liquidity on this chart. And in this case, we have some liquidity to the upside and to the downside. So to get a better perspective, we need to zoom out a little bit, for example, to this 1 week time frame, where it becomes pretty clear that most of the liquidity is to the upside right now. First of all, at 70.3K, and then even as high as 72.3K. So yes, I do think that at some point we are going to take out these levels of liquidity. And of course, it could be today or tomorrow, or it could be a little bit longer from now. But regardless, exactly like I said earlier in this video, I am still long-term bullish on Bitcoin. And I do think we are still in a bull run. So yes, I believe we are going to take out these levels of liquidity at some point. Although I remain to be a little bit cautious in this market here, because there are just some very clear signals that are not bullish. They are in fact pretty bearish. So the things I talked about earlier in this video are just some things that I'm considering and that I wanted to share with you guys. Although of course, this is not financial advice. Now, taking a look at the Bitcoin ETF flow tables for today. Yesterday, we saw a $200 million outflow from these Bitcoin ETFs. And in fact, it was not just the Grayscale Bitcoin ETF selling, even though, yes, they did sell a lot, about 120 million. We also saw a lot of outflows from these other ETFs, with BlackRock not stepping in to save the day this time. And this is now the second day in a row where we are seeing net outflows. So potentially this could be a signal for us that the Bitcoin ETF investors are actually flipping a little bit more bearish here and starting to take some profits. Because over these last couple of weeks, we have seen nothing but inflows into these ETFs, obviously sending the price a lot higher from the lows. Although now if we start to see net outflows every single weekday, that will have a lot of downwards pressure on that Bitcoin price. So this is exactly why personally I keep an eye on these inflows every single day. Because obviously if we continue to see these bearish outflows from the ETFs, then we might have to be open to some more downside over the next couple days and weeks or so. Moving on to Ethereum on the 1 day time frame, where recently we did not manage to clear above the 0.786 Fibonacci level and have now seen a bit of a dump to the downside, getting kind of close to this 0.618 Fibonacci level. So these are two important price levels to pay attention to if you do see the price get closer to those levels, because this will be a big level of resistance and this will likely be a big level of support. So if the price goes this low, potentially you could see a bounce from there, for example, on the 1 day time frame. And now taking a look at this falling wedge pattern, which I did call out before this even broke out, and then in my videos as well when it actually broke out. So of course we have been seeing a big pump to the upside and a very profitable trade, taking profits right here. And technically Ethereum is still targeting that $4,100 price level, although there is a point of invalidation for this pattern, which would actually be whenever Ethereum trades below the point of the breakout, which would roughly be at $3,050. Either way, moving on to the short-term levels of support and resistance for Ethereum here. In the immediate short term, we have seen a little bit of a rejection from this level of resistance sitting at 3650, and Ethereum is now getting kind of close to this level of support sitting from 3550 all the way down to 3430. So this could be a potential level where we see a bounce. Although if you do see Ethereum falling below that 3430 level, then the next big level of support is this level right here from 3250 all the way down to 3150 for the price of ETH. Although do remember that we have this Fibonacci level, this 0.618 Fib level sitting at 3330, roughly speaking. But that is about it for the bearish scenarios for now. So if you do see a bump to the upside, then yes, we will run into this short-term level of resistance at 3650 once again. But trading above that, once we clear these highs at 3720, The next big level of resistance right here is from 3750 all the way up to 3800. So personally, these are just some price levels that I'm paying attention to for Ethereum right now. And moving on to Solana on the 4-hour time frame, just today we did not manage to clear above this 0.5 Fibonacci level, sitting at $163. So we are now also getting a little bit of a move to the downside. And if you do see Solana trade this low, then potentially 151 could be a level where you see a bounce from. And in that case, it would be a new higher low. So potentially you could see a change of the market structure here, where instead of seeing lower lows over and over again, we are starting to see higher lows and get a bit of a reversal back to the upside. But for now, these are just two important price levels that I'm paying attention to. Although we do need to take into consideration some of these shorter term levels of support and resistance that are in between these Fibonacci levels. So let's go take a look at those right now. And actually quickly, before I get to that, I do want to mention this trend line that I've been talking about for quite some time on the channel here. And I did specifically call out whenever we saw this break below the trend line that potentially we could be seeing some more bearish momentum for Solana. And that is exactly what we have seen so far. In fact, we got a 14% move to the downside after we broke that trend line. Either way, zooming into these short-term levels of support and resistance here, you can see that Solana is right now on this short-term level of support, sitting at 155, with above that some levels of resistance, for example, at $160, then the Fibonacci level at about $163, and above that, this big level of resistance sitting from 166 all the way up to $171 for the price of Solana. Although if we do just continue to fall to the downside from here, trading below that 155 level, then the next big level of support is right here from 150 all the way down to $140 for the price of Solana. Although do keep in mind the Fibonacci levels here, because we do have that Fibonacci support sitting at $152, roughly speaking. So again, that could be a level where potentially we see a bounce from. Although I do want to be clear that for Solana and Ethereum, even though I do look at the technical analysis for those coins, in my opinion, the price action is also very dependent on what Bitcoin is actually doing. Because when Bitcoin is bullish, likely Ethereum and Solana will do the same. And of course, when Bitcoin is bearish, then again, Solana and Ethereum will likely do the same. So that is exactly why I look at the Bitcoin technical analysis every single day, as well as, of course, the Solana and Ethereum TA. Now, if you are leverage trading or you have been wanting to get into it, I highly recommend you join my Discord server. It's completely free. And you can find the link to that with the first link in the description of this video you are watching right now. For example, earlier today, we were discussing the macro news that was coming out. People are sharing their technical analysis, as well as that you can actually get access to my trading signals in this Discord group. So if you want to go check that out, once you're in the server and verified, simply go to this trading signals access channel. And from there, you simply follow these 3 steps in order to get access to my trading signals for free. Now, one of these steps to get access is actually to register and start trading on MEXC or BTC, which are 2 exchanges that I am affiliated with and personally trade on. And if you use the links that you can find here in the Discord server or just in the video description, if you register with those links, you can start trading on, for example, MEXC with fees as low as 0.01% for leverage trading. And besides that, get trading and depositing bonuses up to $1,000 simply for trading and using that platform. Now, if you cannot register on MEXC or you cannot KYC on MEXC, then I recommend you check out BTC, where you have no KYC or verification required. All you need is an email address to start leverage trading on there. And also on BTC, you can get up to $500 in trading and depositing bonuses. So I highly recommend you go check out those exchanges. Either way, if you do end up joining the Discord or not, this has been today's market update. Thank you very much for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.